A forgotten artifact lies in pieces on a planet far from Earth. Few know it exists except those who took it back and those whose ancestors created it. 4 young people are thrown into a race against emissaries of the gods to find its pieces. Mistrust, greed, and magic are tangled in an endless web. What will the fate be of the universe once it is found and reassembled? Get Scepter of the Gods, The Rod of Truth now on Amazon, and get wrapped up in the saga that will not let you go.
Good morning and welcome to the Motivational Devotional, where we are merging motivation and spirituality to create a daily dose of confident positivity. I hope that this morning's podcast will help you to be more spiritually and positively motivated so that you can transform your day. One of the funniest things I've seen about regrets is that tattoo, I'm sure you've seen it too, that reads, "No regrets." Well, that's permanent, and so the irony is inescapable. I guess if that was my tattoo, I wouldn't find it so funny, would I? Yeah, probably neither would you, unless for some reason you meant it that way. Do you have regrets? I think most people probably do. I try to not have them, and I will explain why, but before I do you also have resentment? My opinion is that resentment and regret are the same thing. It's just that one is directed at oneself, and the other is directed at others. When we regret things, we are tied to something in the past, something that we wish we had done differently, and we just can't let it go. Usually a regret is something major, like an event that caused the end of a relationship or seriously let another person down. Some people have huge regrets about stock investments they could have made, and today they would be extremely wealthy. I don't think I know anyone like that, though. I know people who talk about a job they wish they had taken, a person they wish they had never let go, and the biggies that most people carry, regrets about things they wish they had said before a loved one left this world. But here's the thing about regrets. They are a trap. Anyone who has a conscience feels compelled to recognize when we have failed in some way and to recognize how that affected other people and how it impacted one's own future. We run the loop over and over about what we could have or should have done differently. We can often learn from that so that we don't repeat our mistakes. But we cross a threshold where we start to constantly beat ourselves up about it and just wish we had done something differently. And then we run things through our heads like, that was so stupid. What was I thinking? Why did I do that? Why didn't I do this instead? What is wrong with me? And then a person can go down a dangerous road where they replace internal messages of confidence and positivity with messages of negative self-worth. Let me share a story. I found out an amazing thing about regrets when I was finally able to get back in touch with someone I thought I had wronged like 20 years before. We caught up with family, what we're doing, all that kind of stuff. They were really glad to be back in touch. And then I figured I wouldn't get another chance, maybe. So I told them what I had been carrying for all those years, and I apologized and said I wished I could go back and do it differently. Do you know what that person said? You're probably thinking they said, don't worry about it, or they forgave me, or that we had a heart-to-heart and worked it out, right? None of that would be correct. They asked me what the heck I was talking about. They had no idea, and they acted like I completely made it up. To be honest, that was the last time I talked to that person, and for a hot minute, I had a whole new regret, which was why I had told them that in the first place. We are taught by all kinds of forgiveness gurus that we need to do that kind of thing, even if it has been a lifetime, and seek out that person if possible. Get it off the chest. Clear the air. Stop carrying that guilt around. I'm here to suggest to you that you may want to rethink that strategy. All those regrets that you might be carrying around, it's time to let them go. If you had an opportunity to ask forgiveness from anyone involved, then very good for you. But that's the end of your responsibility unless you agreed to repay the wrong in some way. But that's a functional thing and not an emotional thing. If there isn't any other person involved, or if that person has died, then you need to ask yourself why you are still carrying that around at all. That is where self-forgiveness needs to come in. If you can't go back in time and fix something, and you can't fix it right here and right now, then it is no longer yours. Stop owning it. If you're having trouble doing that, then ask yourself why. We all should remember a basic spiritual principle that works very well in pursuing our dreams and goals, which is that attachment to anything caught in space and time causes misery. If you can't let it go, then you're attached to it. And the best way to work on that is to meditate and visualize literally holding on to it and then releasing it into a stream or a river and watching it get carried away. Let it go. I mentioned that regrets are the same as resentment, and here is why. Resentment is also a form of attachment to something caught in the past that is causing you misery. I spent far too many years resenting other people because I was bullied in school, or because I was treated badly by a boss, or, here's a good one, bullied by church members when I was doing my best to be a minister of a church. Perhaps I will say more about that in another podcast, but trust me when I say I have plenty of reasons to resent people. But I don't. I certainly know people I can't trust anymore, but I'm not attached to any of the reasons why I learned that. Resentment will eat you alive just as thoroughly as regret, and they will both erode your spirit and steal your dreams. You can deal with your resentments the same as I have, which is what I said about dealing with regrets. Meditate. Visualize holding it or seeing that person's face or holding an item that reminds you of it, and then letting it go into a stream or river. Personally, I visualize the flow of the universe flowing through me and out of my gut as like a river of light and energy, and I let it go into that. Let the universe have them. I don't need them, and you don't either. They won't serve you well. What will serve you well is to breathe deeply after that release, thank the universe, thank God, thank Allah, if that is what you do. Just be grateful for being able to release that attachment, and then immediately start to visualize your dreams and goals again in a world without those regrets and without those resentments. That will serve you well, because as you are in that state of being, you will know that all of creation is conspiring in your favor and that the universe always has your back. John Cena said, "If you don't learn from your mistakes, then they become regrets." Thank you for taking the time to listen today. Please help keep this podcast going by following the Motivational Devotional Facebook page, following @threefoldaway radio on Twitter, and sharing the written format of today's message from motivational-devotional.com on your social media. I am deeply grateful for your support, and thank you for letting Motivational Devotional be part of your journey. Peace out. See you tomorrow.
Motivational Devotional is a production of Threefold Way Radio, LLC.